Hi students, Ron here from L.T.L Tutoring Central, and I'm here today to talk to you about word count. One of my students brought up an interesting question, and I've been asked this before and I've never made a little video about it. So I thought maybe if he had this question, others had the same question. And the question is, I have to go into a final exam. In Ontario, Canada right now, we're having final exams at the high school level. And he has to write an essay, and it has to be within a certain word limit. So how do I know that I'm within this word limit when I'm handwriting? Because a lot of us today are using computers, and we sort of rely on the computer to do the word count for us. So he was just wondering, how do I know that I'm within the word limit? Now, the first thing I want to mention is that they're not terribly strict. You don't have to count every single word. That would be a real waste of your time, because you want to use your time to write quality sentences, get your ideas across, make sure you have a good intro and conclusion. All of those things we've talked about before with essays. So you certainly don't want to be wasting time counting every single word just to make sure you're within the word count. So I'm going to show you a quick and easy or rough and ready method for counting words to come up with an estimate, which will be good enough.
Now here's an example of something that you might write on a piece of paper if you're writing an essay or a quotation analysis or some longer piece of writing where they have a word limit that you're supposed to meet. So what I would do is when I'm finished, now this is very short, of course, yours would be much longer, and what I would do is check one or two lines on a couple of different pages if I were doing something much longer. But here I picked 3 different lines, and I've just individually counted the word. There's 8 words in the first line, 9 words in the other line I chose, and 8 words in the other line that I chose. So it's looking like between 8 and 9. I have a short one here at the end, but it's about 8 words per line. Then I count up my lines, and I see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines. Of course, if this were a real essay, it would be many more lines, so you'd count up all the lines or do an approximate line count per page. So we know that we have approximately 8 words per line. Some lines would have 9 or 10 possibly. Some might have 3 or 6. You know, if you're coming to the end of a paragraph, you might only have a few words, but it's about 8 words per line, and we have 7 lines of text, so I simply multiply those together, and 7 times 8 equals 56 words. And when you count this up individually, or if you put this little text into a word program, which I did, it actually is 55 words. So that's a pretty accurate count. Now it may be slightly less accurate on a really large paper, but they always give you a range. So it would be within a certain number of words, and you're allowed a certain range. So you can check to make sure that you fall within the limits that you're allowed. This is a very good rough and ready way. It gets you quite close to where you need to be, and you're usually allowed at least several hundred words one way or the other. Now I thought I'd throw in a slightly more accurate example for an essay, and this is an essay I actually typed up many years ago, and in all likelihood the limit was 1,500 to 2,000 words, and it was typed on an old typewriter before computers, and there were 11 words per line approximately. Some of them had fewer, some of them had more, 24 lines per page, and 7 pages. So I just multiply that all together. 11 times 24 times 7 gives me 1,848 words. So that falls between the limit of 1,500 to 2,000 words. If I had chosen 10 words, which I almost did because there were quite a few lines that were 10 and a few lines that were 11, a few lines that were 12. But if I did choose 10 words and I did the multiplication, I would have 1,680 words. So I'm still falling within the limit. So you can see there's usually a range, and as long as you're close, as long as you fall somewhere within the limit, you'll be fine. And that's a very rough and ready way. I only counted a few lines on maybe 2 or 3 pages. I counted 2 or 3 lines, and then I decided to take the 11 words, 24 lines on the page. I did count a couple of pages. They were all 24 because I was doing it on a typewriter, except for the last page.
So there you go, a rough and ready way to approximate the number of words in any kind of writing assignment, especially longer writing assignments that you have to do in an in-class exam or test where you don't have access to a word processor and you don't want to count every single word. So this is a very good way to get a good estimate and know that you're within the range that's allowed. You don't want too few words, but you don't want to go way over the limit either, because sometimes they just stop marking. If they expected 3 or 4 pages and you've written 8, they may decide just to stop. Now, of course, everyone has different size of handwriting, so you may get more words per line or fewer words per line than I would. So that's why you need to count a few lines and just see how many words you're getting per line, and then multiply by the lines and multiply by the pages if there's a number of pages. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. You can like the video, you can leave comments or ask questions and I can answer them. Check below, there's information about my website, there's courses that I offer, and also private tutoring. So I hope to see you again soon. In the meantime, keep learning and keep having fun.
Remember, my name is Ron Johnson. I always go by Ron, and the company is L.T.L. Tutoring Central since 1996. The website is www.tutoringcentral.com, and there's my email, tutoringcentral@hotmail.com. Don't be afraid to contact me, ask a question, leave a comment. I'm always interested to hear from my students. Talk to you again soon.